¿Qué pasa? What's up? Antonio Serrano here, and today I have a magical top 5 just for you. In this case, it's quite simple, quite straightforward. I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite books of all time for magicians. And I am talking about books that can help you with your magic, talking about general performing, talking about comedy applied to magicians, and that sort of magic books. I am a very, very big fan of books that don't teach you just tricks. I love books that help you understand your character and what is involved in performing in front of a live audience. Those are the types of books that I prefer reading right now. Right now I am focused on developing my own original material. So reading other tricks obviously can help you. And I have a lot of books in here that are basically tricks, or mostly tricks, that helped me a lot. So I have the top 5 books, my favorite books, and some honorable mentions. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. Let's read! Woo! Okay, so in number 5 I have The Magic Rainbow by Juan Tamariz. I am extremely lucky because I am Spanish and I can read this book in the original language, and I love that. I think that all of the books in here are either English books or Spanish books, so I read them in the original language, and that's something that I loved. Okay, and The Magic Rainbow, it's great because, as I mentioned before, I love books that help me understand what the heck I'm doing and what do I do every time that I go on a stage and I'm performing for people. What is really going on, right? What's happening in here? What's magic? What's performing magic? What are the different types of performances, the different types of effects? What is so amazing for the audience? What is the thing that is entertaining them? What's that magical thing that no one can describe that makes people want to go and see the same show over and over and over again? And I think that very few books explain so much about the real magic behind a magical performance as The Magic Rainbow by Juan Tamariz. An outstanding book that helps a lot. One of my favorite parts of the book is when he talks about the different ways that a magic trick can happen on stage, right? And that's something that I talk a lot of the times with my girlfriend when we saw in Madrid The Lion King, the musical, or my brother-in-law saw Aladdin. I asked him, okay, and the carpet, when the carpet flies, what about that? And he was like, oh, it's pretty good, it's quite amazing. And I was like, why isn't he so mesmerized? Because the carpet is floating. And Juan Tamariz explains perfectly in the book why a single person on stage with a deck of cards can cause gasps like, oh, amazing, but a full production with a magic carpet flying around and all that stuff simply makes you more amazed at the scenery and all that stuff, but doesn't create that feeling of magic in your chest, right? That a single person with a deck of cards can create. And it's great because you know more about your performing art, right? A lot of the times, and I talk about that in one of my tap videos, the tip after performances, very short videos that I film right after finishing a performance. I talk about you should know when a good or a bad show is good or bad because of you or because of other circumstances. In this book, Juan Tamariz gives you basically all of the tools that you can have to have a good show because of you. There are still, obviously, you're going to have at some degree things that you cannot control. But after reading this book, it's like I have all the information in my mind that I can possibly have to make sure that I am giving them the best show that I can possibly give them at this point in my life. So I think that Magic Rainbow deserves this place in the top 5. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay, I love these 2 books because they are 2 volumes and they are full bloom. The Gaetan Bloom book, I love this guy. I love his penguin lecture. It is great. And this book, for example, is completely the opposite from the Juan Tamariz books. This book is basically about tricks and very convoluted, most of them with a lot of gimmicks. a lot of moving parts. But the great thing about this book, the great thing about Full Bloom and all that, everything that Gaetan Bloom puts out, is that it gets your imagination flowing. It's like, oh my god, I would never thought about that. It's great. He has like a prop that's amazing. It's like a tube with a lot of strings coming out, and the same strings going out from the top and down. And you can see that most of the strings have pieces of paper, and one string has a bill, like a $100 bill, and you can see all of the tops, like here. And you ask people to take a string and pull it up, and you can see that a paper starts to move. Oh my god, you're a loser, all that stuff. And people can pull, and they can pull all of the strings except for one. And when you take the last string and you go like that, people can see that the bill is moving, because the last string that they left is the one that is connected to the bill. And it's like, when you see how that works, it's like, what kind of maniac can come up with a method this intricate and at the same time that simple in a sort of a way for a trick like that? It's great, and he balanced extremely well, having a lot of props, very proppy magical act, and at the same time reducing things and keep it as simple as possible. Like for example, his seal to egg, when he talks about how to perform seal to egg using only one egg. And if any of you perform seal to egg, you will be like, what? Yeah, and he uses everything. He uses the thumb tip, the silk, the sticker, the egg, the glass. He uses everything to create the illusion that obviously you have a fake egg and a real egg, but in fact you are only using one. So it's like, it's marvelous, and it's maybe not something that I'm going to perform. There is a lot of magic from Gaetan Bloom that I perform, like the standing car, the standing up car, like the sponge with the water, right? I love that gag, and that running gag, which is quite magical. But it's not that I'm going to perform my seal to egg routine and I'm going to change it right now. Is that it gets your imagination flowing. For me, it's like, okay, is there any kind of trick that I am performing the way that I learned it, basically because that was the way I learned it, and I can change it? Because the moment you read that instructions is that, yeah, you don't need the second egg to perform seal to egg. You need it depending on your handling, but you don't need it if you use that handling. Is there any more magic that I am doing in a particular way that I could analyze a different way to approach it? And very, very few people can do that as in a very easy and nonchalant way, like he is, like Gaetan Bloom. I love his, for example, the classic bite coin, when you buy the coin and you throw the piece back to the coin. He has that with a pepperoni slice, right? A pepperoni slice. And when I saw the explanation, I was like, oh my god, this gimmick is going to be so difficult to make. And when you see how the gimmick is made, it's like the simplest thing ever. And for the audience, you have basically the same illusion, like you are biting a slice of pepperoni, you are biting a slice of pepperoni, and you go, and it goes back to the pepperoni. And it is the easiest gimmick to build on earth. It's simply outstanding. It's simply outstanding, 100%. I love these books. So yeah, let's take a look at number 3. Okay, number 3, another guy that has an incredible mind, one of my favorite performers, magical performers, and I would say performers in general, Rune Clans. Okay, the book is Rune Clans World, right? Let me check. Yeah, Rune's World. The name is Rune's World. And it is great. It is an outstanding book. You have all of his close-up material. It's incredible the amount of things that this guy can do with some coins, a pen, a bottle, and everything is like impromptu, and he doesn't like using like gaffs or stuff like that. I love his vanish of multiple coins, which is called the Viking vanish, and I saw Craig Petty use this vanish over and over again. It's great, the Viking vanish. And then at the end of the book he explains his stage act and all the jokes that he has and I love the way that it's explained like in a comic type of way, when you don't have like a very long agonizing explanation for things that you basically understood from the effect in itself. So it's great. It's an outstanding book, full of material for close-up workers, full of material for stage people, and once again is a thought-provoking book. You can see how much magic you can create using normal coins. You can see how magical you can be doing material on stage that is based on jokes and not based on magic tricks. And that's something that I love about the second part of the book, which is the part that interests me the most as a stage performer and as a parlor performance, is that he doesn't care about the magic premise. He's like, I want people to laugh. I want to be funny, right? I want to focus on the comedy, and then I can try to make something powerful as a magician. But he is not like, okay, I want to do this trick with a piece of rope, now let's see what I can say to be funny. No, he's like, I need to do something that is funny. And that way he has a piece of paper sign, and the piece of paper is stapled to a piece of meat, and the piece of meat is placed inside of a bread, and everything is vanished and everything appears inside. So it's like bonkers. It's like the craziest thing you can ever think of, but focusing on being funny. I love, there is a video on YouTube, like a reel from his, and it's extremely funny, where he has like a clear cabinet and a very mysterious music sounds. I think it's Zarathustra, right? It's the name of the song. Thus spoke Zarathustra, something like that. And the cabinet starts filling with smoke, and then he comes out from one side of the stage, and he's like, if I appear there, that would be amazing, right? And everyone is like, and he comes out with a beer. Thank you guys. And it's like the anticlimax. It's like, I have all this set up just to do this damn joke. And I love that commitment. So reading the book, you go like, okay, I must know what I'm here to do. And I am here to entertain people, to make people laugh. And that's my first goal. Then I can be clever, I can be magical, but I have to be funny. And I love this guy for it. It's great. Okay, book number 2. Okay, I love this second book, and it is My Caveness Wonders. What a great set of books. You have 2 books, right? The first one explaining basically all of his life, all of his work. The second one is explaining his shows, his illusions, the thing that he created when he was part of the Los Beach Mystics, something like that. I don't have the name with me. I think it's Long Beach Mystics, something like that. A group where he took part when he was a youngster, and they took like all illusions and they create different ideas. And if you are only an illusionist or you perform bigger magic, I think that book is gold for you, right? For me, for my taste, I care way more for the first part of the book, when he explains all his life, like close-up magic. And he explains, which is amazing for me, his whole corporate show, right? When he's performing for companies and stuff like that, and how he draws people in, how he starts creating connections with those people. I love the trick that he explains, for me is bonkers, where he used 52 invisible decks. 52 invisible decks. Could you imagine in a trade show? Like, could you please think of a car? Okay, I've got in here 52 decks. Boom, and bump 52 decks from a bag on top of the table. Now you ask someone, could you please shuffle the decks? And someone, like they are piles of dirt, and you start shuffling them, and then you take one of them out, you show that there is one card reverse, and it's the card that the person is thinking of. If that trick is amazing using only one deck, imagine using 52. Is simply bonkers. Simply and utterly bonkers. I love his idea, and it's a trick that I would love to perform sometime. His idea of the Benson plunger, right? Like doing balls with the ball routine, and instead of using a ball, he uses a plunger, right? So the bottom part of the plunger is the ball, and the stick of the plunger is the magic wand. So it is like extremely cohesive. It makes sense, right? And then he produces like a bar of soap, I think it was something like that, from the plunger. It's great, and it's funny, it's cartoonish. I love his lateral thinking. It's outstanding. And as I said before, it's a trick that has the perfect balance of showing you tricks that are clever, that are interesting, and at the same time it is thought-provoking. I think that Mike Caveney, without a shadow of a doubt, is the magician that makes me study a trick further and further and further. Okay, for example, for my trick, for my shop card routine that I end producing the rock from the shoe, I think that I've gone through 4 different methods to have the rock on me and loaded on the shoe. 4 methods, and I think that that would be impossible if it wasn't for this guy, for Mike Caveney, and that book, because you can see in the book that for some tricks he is explaining 3, 4, and 5 different methods. Like, this guy is never satisfied, and that's great for his magic paper routine, the Torn and Restore toilet paper, which is hilarious. He explains, I think it is 4 or 5 different methods, and with some methods he was performing a lot of years, and he could go like most magicians go, like, I am already on my ways, I am stuck on my ways, I'm not going to change the method because I've been performing this method for a lot of times. This guy explains in the book clearly that in a performance he kind of had the feeling that a kid saw how the trick worked, and he said, I need to change the handling and the method, let's say. I had to change everything because this kid saw exactly how the trick worked. And this kid didn't shout out like, oh, you have the paper, or no, he simply had the feeling like the kid knew how the trick worked, and he said, I have to change this. And this is great because this is something that happened to me, exactly the same thing with the rock from the shoe. I have been performing the rock from the shoe most of the times with a method that I was extremely happy about, and that I thought that I was extremely clever for coming up with that method. And I could see people in some shows looking at me like, he has something in there, right? Or the posture is kind of weird, what happens to him? And in some videos I can see people like, what happens with the, I don't know what happens, right? So if it wasn't for him, I would be like, oh, it doesn't matter. I am performing for 100, 150 people, only a couple of them see something weird, I am not changing that. No, if there is only one person that kind of sees something, that's your signal for you to change it. And if you have to go through 3, 4, 5 different methods, you have to do that because that's your job. As simple as that. Also, his built-in cigar, when he talks about seeing, I think it was Terry Seabrook, I'm not sure, I think it was the creator, when he performed the burn bill to wallet, and he was like, that's great, I bought it, but I never perform it. I want to do something different. And he did the same bill to cigar, and he also explains different methods that he went through to put that bill, that signed bill, inside of the cigar in the most hands-free possible way. And he had like a very clear goal, like, I don't want my hands to be near the cigar. I just want my hands to be near the cigar when I am taking it out. Right? I don't want to go in and then out and then in and then out and then take out the wallet or the cigar and show that there is something inside. So I love this guy. I love how hard he's working, and yeah, I think that it's very, very few things that I can say on top of this to encourage you to have this amazing book. That I think that you can that you have to buy them together, but they are both great pieces to have, of course. Okay, very quickly with my phone here, I'm going to be through my honorable mentions quite quickly. Number 1 would be Comedia Mágica, which is a book by a Spanish magician called Karim, and it's great because it's a book that helped me a lot to understand how you can put together a comedy and a magic show, making sure that both things are important. I don't want people to think that I am a magician that learned a couple of jokes from a joke book, and I also don't want people to think that I am a comedian that learned how to do a couple of simple tricks. So this book is great to make sure that you know how to balance those two arts. So it's great. The next book, I love this one, is Handsome Jack, etc. I love that, from John Lovick. What an outstanding book. It's great. His handling for the bottle production is great, and I use it to a 10. I love how he grips the silk to produce the bottle. That's something that I use in my routine with the dove and the safety pin. That's something that I love. It's great. He has a section talking about equivocate, which is great, and it is a very, very funny book to read because there is like the two characters are present there. It's like John Lovick is like kind of the editor of the book, and Handsome Jack is the magician explaining the tricks. There are some parts of the book that are like crossed out, that you cannot read them because John Lovick was like, okay, he's explaining something that he doesn't have the right to explain, so I'm only going to let you see the things that you can see, and you turn the page and everything is black, so you cannot read it. It's great. It's incredible how this guy's imagination works. So yeah, I think that this book is 100% great for I would say mostly for stand-up performers, cabaret performers. It's great. It's gold. It's pure gold, this book. And to finish, the Book of Wonder. Obviously, the Book of Wonder is great, and once again thought-provoking, and a great way to make you understand that no amount of work is too much work. If you want to create an illusion, if you want to portray some kind of image, some kind of a magical situation in your audience, you have to go miles and miles towards that direction that no one is willing to do. No one is willing to take that journey. You are the one, you are the mad person that has to take that journey because you want to create that image. And it's great. It's 100% great. When you see his routine, for example, his heist routine, right? With the ring, the watch, the money, everything put inside the envelope, everything vanishes, and all the three things, the watch, the money, the ring, all of them appear back in the original place. And he starts explaining to you, there are three ways to vanish something and make it reappear, right? Like, there are three ways to vanish something and make it reappear. And he's using the three different ways to vanish something and make it reappear to fool even deep into a deeper level the audience, right? If you use the same method to vanish and reappear the three things, people can have an easier grasp of how the trick is working. But if you have different methods, when you put the things in the envelope and when the things from the envelope vanish, if you have a different method for each of those things, individual things, people have no idea what to see. And maybe they caught how you did one of those things, but they have no idea how you vanish the rest. So it's great how much effort, how much work he puts in all of his routines, Tommy Wonder. Okay, and right straight there, without pausing or anything like that, let's talk about my number one book, which is Maximum Entertainment by Ken Weber. Okay, I am always making sure that I'm saying the names correctly because I don't want to misquote any kind of name or anything. I want to give credit when credit is due. And Maximum Entertainment, without a further of a doubt, is a book that I go over and over and over once again. It is outstanding. And I love how clear, it's straightforward, and how honest the book is. In the book even, it's an old book, but in the book even you can see Ken Weber talking about magicians with a full name and last name, saying that he doesn't like some things that they are performing, hey, they should do that, they should do that. It's like, they are not talking like in general, right? In some books, people go like, I don't like magicians that do this. And he's like, this magician is called that name and this last name, and I don't like how he performed that. And he's like, yeah, he's being brutally honest because he deeply cares about performing magic. In this book, if I recall correctly, I think that there is not a single trick explained. Not a single trick, not a single routine. But you are going to learn everything. You're going to learn how to stand on stage, how to make sure that people can hear you, how to make sure that that the sound is right. Right now, when I arrive to a place, a new place to perform, I am taking into action all of the points that he has in the book to make sure that the show is going to work great. And that's one of the main lessons that I extract from the book. You have to be there early, you have to be there the first, which is also something that Paul Daniels says a lot in his DVDs. You have to be there early, you have to be there the first, and make sure that everything is going to work perfectly. If you have to talk with the sound guy about the music, try everything, do a sound check. So yeah, it's outstanding. It's great. He even talks about he goes some places to perform and people go like, you are the first performer that made a sound check in here. And when the people go there and they see the show, they are like, oh my god, I love the sound of the system. Is this system his? And he's like, no, it's the system that we always have here. Oh, it sounds perfectly. Yeah, because he was there early, he did a sound check, and he started messing around with the bottoms and the frequencies and all that stuff to make sure that the show is going to be properly listened to, right, and understood. So this is my top 5 books. I hope that you found this information useful. Reading magic books is something that you must do. You don't know the amount of material from magic books that if Craig Petty says this a lot of times, a lot of material in books, if they come out today as a magic download, everyone would be like losing their heads, like, oh my god, what a great trick, the Benson ball but using a plunger. Everyone would be like, oh my god, this is great, but they are all tricks, they are inside of books and most people don't care, and that's pretty sad. So guys, I hope that you find this information useful. Please comment below, please subscribe, and I will see you, as always, in a near future. Bye there!